I stare at Ted Bundy's preschool drawings and then take a nap in the scoliosis bed. When I awake, I beat up hotel security and hop into my Ford Focus. We arrive at the destination only breaking down 37 times. Ford, let's go places. To the mechanic, that is. I'm writing all this down while sitting in my escape. I got in the scoliosis chair and got shown this video's protagonist. Ezio Auditorium, something in Italian. We beat up the band kids and then showed everyone our parkour skills. It was mainly grandma's going to bingo, but you gotta get in that retirement fund somehow. One sneaky turned not sneaky link later, I ran an errand for my dad and then refused to do so for my mom. The game forces you to do so, so God bless and thank you for watching. The game turned into a walking simulator like anyone doesn't know how to walk, except babies, paraplegics, and those missing legs. I met the actor from Wolf of Wall Street and found out my sister's boyfriend had started his city boy phase. I approved, but still made sure his face would have the same color complexity of an eggplant. I went to PetSmart and then my entire family got arrested. That escalated quickly. With Daddy out of the picture, I used my detective mode to find his secret stash. A wise man once said, with great power comes great killing ability. He wasn't lying. My fun was put to an end by this guard who trains upper body 8 days a week. Less interestingly, my entire family was dead. Or just the ones with rights. I vowed to get revenge on the man who killed the important members of my family. And I did, in broad daylight, in front of half the town. I then made sure everyone knew for certain who the assassin was. I gave the senator the same treatment. That'll teach him for spending my money on roads instead of cool things like dinosaur gladiator rings. Practical? No. Awesome? Most definitely. We escaped from the city, but the band kids were out for revenge. As cool as Revenge of the Band Kids sounds, it didn't happen, thanks to my uncle. What was his name again?
It's a me, Mario!
We entered his castle, where he showed us his house, which was great, if you needed a place for a spend 24 hours in an abandoned insane asylum video. I showed my uncle a cool stick I found, and then we bonded over the massacre of these townspeople. Legal? Definitely not. A cool story for the grandkids? Absolutely. I made sure this trombone player would never trombone again, and then looted these Fortnite chests. I went back to Fire Day, where I got revenge for 8th grade. We were doing sparring for boxing, and one of the training dummies beat me. In front of everyone. I still don't know how it happened. It's not a competition, but my trauma is a lot more traumatic than Ezio losing his family. The way to my next target was through these ruins, from when Rome was an empire, not a tourist destination. I spent most of my time playing cat and mouse with this guard. It was fun, if you consider putting your balls in a vice grip and shaving your pubes with an oxyacetylene torch enjoyable. I couldn't assassinate my target, but on the bright side I got some new silverware. Fancy dinnerware aside, a gang war took place at Sunday Mass. Unbelievable, they didn't even invite me. I invited myself, and with my new BFF, ran around the city gunning down, figuratively speaking, the rival gangs. BFF had a curfew, so I had to continue showing off my black Air Force energy alone. I received a good review on Yelp and then ran out of the city. Literally. I went to Arkansas where I took out 4 Power Rangers. The 5th, I trailed while he went on a power walk. And by power, I mean 0. I know turtle amputees that move faster than he does. At his book club, they reenacted that one scene from Magic School Bus. You know the one where they all jump Miss Frizzle? It looked like so much fun that even I joined in. Lorenzo upgraded my drip. I couldn't show Leonardo since he had moved to Venezuela. I took my horse to the Old Town Road and found him on the side of the road. I think I know what the problem is.
Ain't got no gas in it!
Once on our way, we got into some trouble with highway patrol. When did going 50 over the speed limit become a crime? We got to the dock, however Ezio hadn't purchased the latest battle pass, meaning he wasn't allowed onto the ferry. Almost on cue, this woman cried out for help. I rescued her strictly to get a ride on the ship. There was no other reason.
Should you ever find yourself in the city of Forli, it would be my pleasure to welcome you.
Our arrival in Venma was filled with corrupt governments abusing their power and archery. How fun. Not for this lady. I got her to urgent care, which she was extremely grateful for.
Ti cancero, brutto bastardo! A te e a che la grandissima troia di tua madre!
I talked to Rosa's slave master, who after letting me try a Starbucks latte, put me to work in dealing with some traders. These guys were the worst of the worst. Their crime? Posting "don't hit me up, only real ones know what's wrong" on their Snapchat stories. My second task involved rescuing some captured runners. Personally, I would have left them there to motivate the rest of the guild to not get caught. Maybe that's why I'm not in charge. After stopping at the Renaissance equivalent of Home Depot and looting these Toys R Us chests, the time had come. The past 20 or so seconds had all been preparing me for this moment. I showed these archers a more efficient way of killing and gracefully entered this palace. I got a tour of the place, but I wasn't a fan of the white design plan, so I added some color. Which is exactly what God said when he created the first black person, Martin Luther King Jr. I overheard of a plot to bring down Dogecoin. This was serious. I told Antonio about this, who said the conspirators for the terrorist attack were held up in a fortress that was impossible to get into. I refused to believe that. We went to said fortress, and after checking out every entrance, we were able to confirm it was impossible to get into. That was, if you weren't friends with the Blue Turtle from TMNT. He lent me his bat suit, which me having had played all the Arkham games was an expert in handling. Inside the palace, I was too late. Dogecoin was lost. I made my escape, and fast forward a few years, needed a mask to go to the grocery store. I asked Leonardo for one. Instead, he gave me a gun, which is actually a reference to Call of Duty, a game which contains firearms. The addition to my arsenal would help me in taking down Dogecoin's inferior replacement. Killing two birds with one stone, he would be having a party that required a prestige mask. All you had to do was win a couple of games. The first test was a race. I did track, so this was a piece of cake. Granted, I was used as a replacement hurdle, but still, I was in the team picture, just 7 feet away from everyone. The next challenge was boring, but the third was capture the flag. Having spent more time on Halo multiplayer than I did with my own family, I completed this game with ease. After I won all the games, I accidentally gave my prize to the wrong person. That's okay, I was able to rectify their mistake. At the party, I just awkwardly interrupted everyone's conversations. After the Doge was added to a quick scoping montage, the party got really lame. So I left and played Scrabble with these respectable ladies. Don't worry, we were a Bible's length apart. My next target was someone whose name was so stupid, I refused to even say it. He had a lot of TikTok followers, so I found this influencer to help me build my own following. We renegaded our way to Bartholomew's house. Honestly, any person with that name is 100% built like this. I went around town and locked up every person who didn't agree that Honey Nut Cheerios was the best cereal. I proceeded to do a fireworks show that lasted approximately 2 seconds. I wish I could last that long. I took out Stupid Name Guy, as well as his boyfriend who screams, I enjoy long bike rides on the beach and watching the sunset. No judgment. I then spent half of the Renaissance trailing this mailman. I spent so long following him, the sequel to the Bible was about to release. I stole his fit, as well as his limited edition copy of Hello Kitty Roller Rescue. I used my JRTC training and showed off the hidden blade tricks I learned on WikiHow. The guy in front of me was the Grand Master of the Templars, meaning there's no way I could beat him. So I did it twice. All of my teachers showed up, for once, not to tell me that drawing Alvin and the Chipmunk hentai isn't a viable alternative to answering open-ended questions. They actually invited me to their after-school club. As much fun as I had, some Capri Suns wouldn't have hurt. This apple you're seeing is actually Apple's newest product. It's just like any other apple, except it costs your family, organs, and half of Venezuela. With the apple shoved firmly up my ass, we departed to Romania. Here we would enjoy all it has to offer, like its lettuce. Is there anything else in Romania? Our Dungeons and Dragons party fell under attack, and Katerina's children were kidnapped by a bisexual dance duo. She was okay with leaving them to die, and so was I. In the famous words of Michael Jordan, F them kids. R. Kelly said something similar. Her first child was guarded by enough troops for America to reinvade Afghanistan. Thankfully, my sword was enchanted with sharpness 420. Most children climb trees, but the other child climbed this lighthouse. I broke up the dance group and then lost the apple. This is Arkham Knight all over again. If you know, you know. I used the detective skills that game taught me to trace the apple back to my hometown. What better way to celebrate returning home than by starting an anti-government uprising? Like any good riot, there is tear gas and the National Guard pretending they're useful. The first lieutenant was reenacting Fahrenheit 451, so I decided to reenact that one scene. You know, the interesting one? Oh wait, there aren't any. Lieutenant number 2 was a real challenge. The third was peacefully singing. It was annoying me, so I killed him and gave 4 the same treatment. Numero 5 jumped me, but I decided to ignore his jumping and give him an extra breathing hole. The number before 7 was gatekeeping who could buy McDonald's. I can look past the murdering and other forms of corruption, but not letting people buy McChickens for $1.19 is where I draw the line. The last 3 were as eventful as August. Literally nothing happened in those 31 days. All this civil unrest allowed me to reacquire the apple. As for the guy who stole it, they were gonna cook him at 350 for 13, but I couldn't let that happen. Ezio then gave a speech that was so deep I literally felt it inside me. I may have the apple, but Daddy, wanted me to have the entire copy of the Halo cookbook. Cue the non-copyrighted montage music.
Preview.
That went so hard I think it gave me an erection. Back at the palace, all my teachers gathered around while I answered an open-ended question. The urge to draw Alvin and the Chipmunk hentai was there. Instead, I drew the Mona Lisa if it was actually a map of the entire world. We had all these exciting places to go, and chose Rome. Apparently, sneaking into the Vatican with enough weapons to invade Belgium is a crime. Not to worry, there is a conveniently placed horse. After a really long ride and a failed game of limbo, I went to Sunday Mass. They weren't talking about cool stuff, like the
Want to get weird?
so I tried changing the subject. However, the Pope had a staff that hit harder than Bin Laden in '01. Without it, he hit more like Captain America, pre-serum. With my quest for revenge and chaos, but mainly chaos complete, I asked this Cortana fangirl to nuke Syria and then just awkwardly stood there like my mom had left me at the register while she went to grab one last thing.